Had a little bit of technical difficulties this morning, but we're here, we're back, and it's going. Today I want to talk to you guys about boundaries. What are they? How do you do it? Why do you do it? You know, is it important? Maybe you've heard people say, I'm drawing a line in the sand. I'm not going to let anybody, mess with me again. I'm going to have these boundaries, and I'm not going to let people walk all over me. That's the kind of thing that we want to talk about today, because I think it'll be beneficial for you. Hi, Anadit. Hi, Jacqueline. If I missed anyone, hi. Hi, Elena. So I think it's important for everyone. Hi, Lucas. And sometimes even those of us who are further along in our journey of self-worth, we still sometimes have a hard time figuring out how to set boundaries. Hi, Derek. Hi, Steph.
Sponsor already? Sponsor in 5 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here comes Timmy.
Are you tired of white lights?
Hi, Sonic fan.
Or are you tired of plain old boring water? Introducing 2.0 technology. You can't see it. Vita Coco. It's coconut water.
Okay. Is that all you have to say about that? It's got electrolytes, right?
Yep, healthy for your body.
It's better than Gatorade.
Yeah.
Hi, Raymond. So,
Stop, Timothy.
yeah. You know what the cool thing is? I forget which war it was. It might have been World War II. Elena says they have it in Scotland. When they didn't have...
Bye, I think Eli wants to come in. Eli, you want to come in?
When they didn't have enough blood to do... I could be getting these facts wrong, but I had read somewhere that coconut water is the closest thing to human blood, and that when they didn't have enough blood for soldiers, they would give them coconut water intravenously. Is that how you say it? I'm asking Timmy like he would know.
I like the company.
Hi, Nicola. Hi, Jesse.
Did you know they also make bath stuff? I don't know.
Okay.
They also make bath stuff, I think, but I don't know.
Timmy said he saw on their website they also make bath and body products.
Who knows?
Steph says, hi, Eli.
Who knows?
Hi, Raymond.
I might actually double check it on my...
You guys can look that up and see if I'm...
Drink is better than coconut.
So Eli's fighting for his drink instead. He said Eco Drink is better than coconut water.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. You guys can fight elsewhere. Hi, yes.
Let me taste it. You're right. Wait, Eli,
Hi, Sonic fan.
Wait, Eli, let's go.
No, I didn't know that. Timmy, hey, did you know that Thomas the Train introduced their first autistic character named Bruno the Bake Car?
What?
Yeah, there's a Thomas the Train thing going on in LA. I think today's the last day. But I can't take the boys to it today because I have to work. It's a little special like Christmas promo thing. Normally I don't work on the weekends. And I normally always turn down working on Sundays. But holidays coming up, sometimes there's special allowances you have to do. Hi, Angel. Hi, Mooney. Okay, so Nicola's wanting a lesson on this. Hi, Donald. Thank you. So we're talking about boundaries today. Have you ever tried to set boundaries? If so, how did that go for you? I had a bunch of notes I tried to print out. Hi, Angela. Some of them I couldn't get to print out, but I got some of them to print out. So have you ever tried to set boundaries before? Have you ever tried to say to someone, I don't like it when you do that. Please don't do that to me. And that takes a lot of courage, right? It takes a lot of gumption to be, Nicholas says, yes, it can be difficult because you are worried about hurting someone's feelings. Yeah, and the way you deliver the information, you have to do it in a certain way.
Also,
but if they're hurting your feelings, then you have to address it.
Guys, I have to tell you something. I'm dissing Ghostbusters forever.
What? What do you mean you're dissing Ghostbusters forever?
Because it's only on Hulu and it's like, I was wrong about that, so.
Okay.
I'm still going to keep it to Eli, okay?
Okay.
So, I can do my Jurassic Park collection. I got one and two, but the number one is on VSS and number 2 is on DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timmy likes to go to thrift stores and look for movies. And then at one point he has whole collections, like he had the whole Pirates of the Caribbean collection.
And I got rid of it.
And he just goes on these spurts where he's like, I have to have every single one in the collection. And then he's like, I don't want them anymore. And he sends them to the thrift store. And then sometimes a month or two later, he's like, where's my Pirates of the Caribbean? I'm like, you sent it to the thrift store. We're not going back there to buy it again.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just try to tell him to keep stuff, but he gets on this tangent. Hi, Envy.
Oh, cool. You got $199.
Thank you, Nicola. And then he decided, he changes his mind. And I said, why don't you just keep everything? That way, if you change your mind, you still have it. You know what you could do, like you do with your Steam collection? You put the games you don't want to play in a secret hidden area. Why don't you, when you're sick of certain movies, put them in a secret hidden area so you don't see them, but then if you decide you want them later, then you can pull them out and put them in with your main
Oh,
collection.
be careful.
Eli, please don't tip Timmy over. Okay. Go in the living room, okay?
What'd you say, Mom?
Go in the living room with Eli.
No, what'd you say?
I said go in the living room with Eli. You can put them back in your regular collection once you decide you want them again. Okay. Go.
Are you white? You're addicted to Cheetos.
That was a fun family moment. So sometimes Rob's here to wrangle the kids on a Sunday morning, but he's camping somewhere, shooting archery. I don't know. He's been doing that for 3 days. Gone shooting archery somewhere. Camping. So here we are. We're talking about boundaries. Hi, Rodrigo. So what are some things you need to expect when you're setting boundaries? Have you guys ever tried? Thank you, Rodrigo. Have you ever tried to set boundaries? Now, when someone acts in a way towards you that is... We've got someone chiming in from the International English Club who's not even putting English in the comments. So, you're saying something about potatoes, but I'm not sure what you're saying. So, if you're in the International English Club, could you please type to me in English so I can know what you're saying? All right.
Oh no, a special cameo is coming up for Molly's life. Can you guess what it is?
All right now. Okay, you already had your... Okay, Jack. Bye-bye, Jack. Nicholas says, I think it's more boundaries when people use you. There's a difference between being nice to someone and people using you.
Oh, that was it.
Rodrigo, I've been shooting about 1 video per week, but I noticed they haven't put any up in a couple weeks that I'm in. They're there. They're in the queue.
Jack, away.
They've probably been edited. They probably have a big storehouse because they shoot 5 or 6 a week.
Jack, not now.
So, yeah. So we're going to talk about boundaries. So, just because someone is in your life and maybe you can't get them out of your life because you live with them, or can you please go? We're having a serious discussion. Go take care of your brother in the living room. Okay. I'm going to set boundaries right now, Timmy. Don't come back in here. You've already done your piece. Okay?
No.
Don't come back in here unless you have something important to share, like a scripture or something that will help people.
But Jack wants to say hi.
No, you're in control of your animals. Timmy?
But Jack wants to say
Timmy?
hi.
Go. Eli, go in the living room with Timmy, okay? Thank you. So just because you live with someone, doesn't mean you have to accept their disrespectful or inappropriate behavior, right? Derek wants to know, how can I get my support staff to let me find a job so I can afford your online course? Are you wearing heels for work today? I don't know what I'm going to wear for work today because I bring a bunch of clothes and then they decide what I wear. I don't decide. Rodrigo said, it's okay to have your kids in your videos. They pop into most of them, but it was getting a little disruptive today. Because look, we're 10 minutes into it and we haven't really begun. You know, you're going to have to talk to your support staff. You're going to have to ask them. You know, there may be a reason. Sometimes if you're on government assistance, if you get a job, they cut you off of government assistance. So you have to, you have to weigh the pros and cons. Is what you would make at a job going to be so much more than what you're getting that it would justify it. Also, what do you do if the job is overwhelming and it's too stressful for you and you feel like you can't do it anymore, and then you quit? Then you don't have any income and it takes a long time to get back on the government assistance program. So you should have some kind of a counselor that you talk to about that. Thank you for the gift, though. And there should be someone you can talk to and that you can, explain your concerns. Someone above your support staff, maybe their manager or something. Oh yeah, Rodrigo, I think that's going to be either a Christmas or a Thanksgiving one. Good morning, Frank. Okay, let's see. Sonic fan is talking about the new Sonic Hedgehog movie. Thank you for the generous gift, Angela. I appreciate it. So we're talking about setting boundaries with people who are showing disrespectful or inappropriate behavior. So maybe you've got someone in your life and they're doing stuff that is really bothering you.
Hey, it's time for
Scripture of the day?
Yes!
Okay, what scripture are you going to share with us?
Matthew 20:34.
What is Matthew 20:34?
I don't know one. Let me just double check. I'll be right back. I'll be very quick.
So when you're going to confront someone and you're going to try to set boundaries with them, you may have certain things in mind. Like you may be thinking, well, my mom needs to stop making comments about my weight. Or my coworker in the next cubicle needs to stop playing the music so loud when I'm trying to work. Or my friend, they need to call before they just come over. Or my spouse needs to put their socks, their dirty socks, in the hamper. Maybe your complaint
I'm back. So, 34. So Jesus has
compassion?
Compassion and touch the eyes. That's all I can remember.
Jesus has compassion and what?
Touch their eyes.
And he touched their eyes. Oh! She's talking about when Jesus healed the blind man.
Oh, yeah!
Because he had compassion on them. So he touched their eyes and they were healed.
Yeah, except it's so bright. Can you dim it down?
You want me to dim the light? I think you're good. We're good. You told us the lesson. How's that?
Oh, yeah, good.
Is that better? Less light?
Yeah.
Okay. So
thank you all.
We've got some...
I'm leaving forever. Until the next live stream.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We've got some preacher friends that have preached in many third world countries. Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Bye. Ah, not the lipstick!
I didn't actually do it. Where they've preached in many third world countries, and many people who couldn't walk were able to get up and walk. Many people who were blind were able to see again. Sometimes it has to do with the level of the person's faith. When Jesus came to heal the guy that couldn't walk for, I don't know, was it 40 years or something? And he asked him, do you want to walk? And the blind man, or excuse me, the lame man who couldn't walk started making excuses. Instead of saying, yes, I want to walk, he starts saying, well, when the pool is stirred up, nobody puts me in, I don't have any help, everybody gets there before me, and I never get my chance. And he started making excuses. And sometimes we just have to answer yes. Yes, we do. We want to walk. We want to see. We want whatever healing is coming to us. And sometimes we have to press in with faith and believe it until we see it. And it's such a tricky thing. I know we're going off topic of the boundaries, but since Timothy was talking about that verse, your faith level has a lot to do with whether you receive healing or not. So I was at a conference in July, and I had some pain in my left knee, and we were taking turns praying for each other. And this one gal, I had prayed for everybody else, when we saw short legs lengthen and get longer. Lizzie's here. Hi, welcome. And so, you know, we were seeing miracles of people having pain leave their backs that they've had for years, and legs growing a little longer to help alleviate the back pain. And I had some knee pain, and this lady wanted to pray for me, and she prayed for me, and my knee felt better afterwards, but it wasn't 100% there, but it did feel better. And she asked me, is your knee all better? I was like, yeah, mostly. No, we're praying again. We're not going to stop till you're 100% healed. So she's praying over my knee again, praying in faith, and we're believing. And then she's like, how's your knee now? I'm like, it's about 70% there. No, we're not stopping till you're 100% healed. And she prayed for me again. Then I was like, well, it's about 80%. It's good. No, we're not stopping at 80%. And then she pressed and pressed, and finally, the knee pain was completely gone. And to know for sure, I started like bending and moving and jumping and like doing stuff like with my knee that to make sure, you know, and it was good. Well, when there's a lot of faith at that conference. So you have more, this is at the Abundance Conference, and you have more, you know, when you're surrounded by people with a lot of faith, sometimes you see more miracles. Hi, Brian. Oh, this guy again. Okay, story time with Ryan. The Martini Man is back. All right, so your faith level, when it rises, you start to see more miracles. Now, here's what happened. When I got home, about a week or so later, that knee pain came back. It started hurting again. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to be careful with it. Maybe I'll ice it. Maybe I'll take it easy and I won't do certain exercises. And then this thing inside me rose up and said, no, we don't have to take it. We don't have to keep it. If we're in pain, we don't have to keep it that way. So I started praying, not just praying about my knee, commanding the pain to leave. In the name of God, in the name of Jesus, I command this knee pain to be gone. And I kept commanding it to be gone. And I got on my trampoline and I started jumping, commanding this knee pain to be gone, thanking God that I'm healed, thanking God that my knee feels great. And I did that until it manifested, until it happened. So when something comes in your life, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to keep it. You don't have to put up with it. You can command it to go. But you have to have it's not going to go unless your faith is in the right place. You have to have the right level of faith for that to happen. And keep confessing. Don't dwell on the knee pain. Don't dwell on the back pain, whatever it is. Dwell on the healing. And walk around, even if you're in pain, walk around thanking God that you're healed. Thank you, God, that I'm healed. Thank you that I'm whole. By your stripes I am healed. You're walking around thanking God for the miracle in advance, right? Because our thankfulness and our gratefulness will bring in miracles that we need. So if you, for instance, don't have enough to pay your bills, same thing. Thank you, God, for my abundance. Thank you that I have more than enough to meet all of my needs according to your riches and glory through Christ Jesus. I thank you that my cup overflows, that I have plenty left over for charitable giving, or whatever it is. You start thanking him and acting as if it's already there. That's not lying. It's because God knows the end from the beginning. He knows you got money coming. He knows whatever you have and whatever you need is coming. We have this linear timeline, and sometimes we can get discouraged when we don't, because we don't see the end when we're here in the middle. And we can focus on the past when we had lack, and when we bring that lack past into our now, we get stuck, we get down, we get depressed. But God has all what we need right here or in the future, but we keep dragging in the past, and we keep dragging out the past and making it last longer. But if we start thanking God for what's to come, thanking God as if it's already here, thanking him in the present tense that we already have what we need, that our invention has already been sold, our patent has already been gotten, our business is already profitable, whatever it is, we start thanking him now for what's to come. What's to come gets closer into your future. But if you're dwelling on the past, you're pulling the past with you, and you're going to have more of that same junk that you don't want. So start projecting yourself into the future that has everything you need, and then you'll see it a lot sooner, right? You don't have it because you don't believe it, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, right? This is Hebrews 11, chapter 1. It's the evidence of things not seen. It's the proof. So your faith is what it takes to manifest what you don't have into what you do have. Don't get so stuck on where you're at now, what your past was. That's right, Steph. Your past doesn't define you. Your future is yet to be told. And you can get the future you want by believing it and confessing it. You guys know that actor Jim Carrey? He was living in his car, eating cans of beans. He didn't have money for anything. But he had faith. He had faith that someday he was going to make $10 million for acting services rendered. He wrote himself out a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and he kept that in his wallet, and he would look at it every day and he would believe it. I'm going to get $10 million someday for acting, for my acting services. And he believed it. He didn't give up on his dream because he was homeless and living in his car. Right, Steph says, I can 100% attest to the fact that the law of attraction is real. What you think about, you bring about, right? That's our faith. We believe it, then we see it. It's not the other way around. Oh, I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it. No, we have to believe it in order to see it. That's why we create vision boards, right? So 3 years go by, and he had put a date on the check, and it was like the week of or the day before, and it was very close to the date he had on his check. He booked the movie Dumb and Dumber, and he got a check for $10 million, acting services rendered. So what do you need to keep on your vision board? What do you need to keep in front of you that you always look at, that you always see? I'm reading a book right now, called You Are a Badass at Making Money. And she's got, different stories in there about how this one person wanted to manifest $75,000 to pay off all their debt. But they had no idea how they could possibly get $75,000 to pay off their debt. They were already working full time. They couldn't take on another job. They had nothing they could sell. They had they had kids, so they did not have time for a side hustle. But what she did is she started acting in faith, and she started confessing that she had the money, and she started writing the number 75 everywhere. She started looking for 75, and she was focused not on the lack, but on the abundance that was coming. And so what happened is she's writing 75, she's praying about 75, she's meditating on 75, and then out of the blue she remembers, remember a few years ago when I helped that startup company get going? And when the startup company got going, they gifted her some stock. She was like, I wonder what that's worth now that this company is out there and it's on the market, and I think the company's doing well. And at the time she was gifted the stock gift, it was worth about $200. So she's like, what I'm gonna call and find out. This is years later. Let's see what this is worth. She called, and the financial advisor told her that her little $200 stock gift was now worth, drum roll, you guessed it, $75,000 on the dot. She nearly fell off her chair. So the things that you want to have are going to come if you're focused on having those things. But if you're focused on not having those things, you're focused on your debt, your brokenness, you're not having a girlfriend, your pain, you're this, you're that, you're going to have more of that. You've got to focus on your healing, your health, your abundance, and then you will have more of it. right? It's vibrating at different levels, right? Your energy, if you're vibrating at this negative yuck level, you're going to have more of that. All right, let's have a smoothie break. I know I've missed a bunch of your questions. I know we're off topic of the live stream, but we're going with it. I have some friends that are trying to convince me to make a smoothie book. Because every time they come over, I'm serving them these fabulous smoothies. They're like, do you have a recipe for this? I'm like, oh, I just throw it all together. And they're like, you make the best smoothies I've ever had. And I was like, I wonder if I should start writing down these things and make a smoothie book someday. I don't know. Who knows? This is my holiday spice smoothie. Kind of tastes a little bit like pumpkin pie. It's really good. Okay. So, should I answer the questions you guys have asked, or should I get back on our topic of boundaries? Oh, the choices, the choices. All right, let me go back and see what I've missed. All right. Derek is asking, what can I do to afford your online course, and when is your You Are Worthy book coming out on paperback? I was going to release it next week, but then I had some technical difficulties with some of the content of the book. I've sent it to a third editor to get another opinion. I had sent it to a bunch of beta readers, and there was some discussion about there still being some errors in the book, so I want to wait till it's like, even though I know the content is great, and maybe some of you would say, oh, if there is an error or two, no big deal, but you know, when you know better, you do better. So knowing that there's still some errors in there in the sentence structure, grammar type of stuff, I was like, well, I should get that fixed before I put it out. I seem to talk okay. I seem to be a good communicator, but sometimes when I write down what I'm trying to say, it has in the past come out a little jumbled. So I've got some books on like grammar and sentence structure that I need to start studying so that I can write in a manner that's easily understood. Okay, let's see. You guys are helping each other out. I love that. Your side discussions of helping each other. Let's see. Donald says, do you think that excuses are a boundary that stops us from being better parents, employees, and spouse and good friends, even what God has in store for us? Well, it depends. I guess I would need a more concrete example. Could you give me some specific examples? I hope you're feeling better, Nana. I know sometimes you have rough times sleeping. Okay. Jordan says, I suppose I see myself as the warrior, a person that's complete. Everything I set out to complete, and basically someone that has family and someone that I can be proud of. That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Frank thought the Dumb and Dumber movies were hilarious. I don't know if I really cared for that one. I think I liked his Pet Detective movies better. I liked Liar, Liar. I like a lot of Jim Carrey's movies. I liked Liar, Liar. He's got a bunch of good ones. I just saw again, oh my gosh, what was that one? See Dick Run? See Dick and Jane Run? Something like that. I just saw that one recently. Steph says, I need your smoothie recipes. It's smoothie weather in Australia. Is it hot there? It's getting cold here. I'm not looking forward to going home for Thanksgiving. It's going to be so dang cold. All right. Have you gotten over your cold? Because you still sound a little bit raspy. I can tell I still have some mucus in my sinuses. Yeah, I'm not 100% back to normal yet. But hey, at least I'm not coughing this time. Oh, thank you, Rodrigo. He says, your work in Dhar Mann is so good. Boundaries are set due to hatred. I disagree with that. Sometimes we set boundaries to protect ourselves. So I guess I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Anyone you ever work with at Dhar Mann you like to work with? I pretty much like all of them. Frank says he loves the snow and cold weather. Maybe if I could just sit inside all day by the fireplace and drink hot chocolate. That maybe, but going out in the snow? Ooh, I'm not made for that. Okay, Steph, they're on her way to summer. Are you in the UK? Where are you, Steph? I forget. Okay, we're going back. So you got people in your life that you want to set boundaries. You want your mom to stop commenting about your weight. You want your coworker to stop playing loud music when you're trying to do your work. You want your friend to call you before they just come over. You want your spouse to put their dirty socks in the hamper, not on the floor in front of the hamper. Or you want your brother to stop telling embarrassing stories about your childhood. Whatever it is. So take a deep breath. You get ready, like you're going to express yourself to them. But then what happens? Maybe you've tried this. Stephanie says she's an Aussie. Maybe you've tried this, and what happens is after you get up the courage, it completely backfires. It gets thrown in your face. You're blindsided. They freak out, chew you out. Brittany says, you gotta admit you're a little excited to come back home. I mean, there may be some incentives along the way. I'm excited to see some people over in that neck of the woods. Okay, I'm just not excited about the weather. So maybe you get blindsided and you go, wow, I wish I had never said anything. I should just keep putting up with their nonsense because that's better than what just happened now. So the reason that happens sometimes when you try to set a boundary and people blow up at you, a lot of times it has to do with setting unrealistic expectations. So sometimes you're challenging them, and sometimes you're accusing them of doing things that they didn't mean to do, or didn't know they were doing, or didn't know they were disturbing you in such a way, or they thought they were trying to be helpful, but sometimes we think, oh, they're just out to get me, they just don't like me, they're just trying to mess me up. So also people are resistant to change the status quo. I had to have a meeting last night with a couple of my tenants who rent my guest house in the back, and there was a lot of friction and people not wanting to change the status quo. But when you have a new roommate come in, sometimes they want things a different way than the one that's been there, and it can be like batting heads, and I kind of had to play referee last night and talk about space and who gets what space and who should, people we're just creatures of habit. We don't like to change. We don't want, we like the results of change, but we don't like to do what it takes to change. Like, we would like to maybe speak a second language, but the tediousness of having to study that language and learn all the different verb tenses and all this makes it, no Cheetos for breakfast. Grab a bar. You can have one of those oatmeal bars. Have a Z-bar. So have some considerations. There's 5 things I want to share with you. 5 things you need to expect and understand when you are setting a boundary. Okay, let me see before I hop into that, see if there's anything I missed. Let's see. Anna just said yes for hot chocolate and marshmallows. I still have some vegan hot chocolate, a special one of you guys sent me. And I still have some left. Jordan says, cheeky, risky. I wouldn't say that boundaries are set by hatred. I would also say that boundaries are set out because you're a person that needs space. Okay? You don't need to hit me with your toys.
No, because I don't like you.
Yeah, you do.
No, I do.
Who bought you all those toys?
Myself.
Oh, you bought them yourself. What, with your good looks? Oh, Cheeky Risky is from Zimbabwe. They have a house made of wood. They worship cows. They have clothes made out of leaves and natural products. Our areas are full of grass and forests. I just love it. Sounds like an interesting lifestyle. Okay, Donald says, just some examples. To be a better parents, we set boundaries to keep our kids safe. True. We also experience life and hurt and pain life throws at our children. Yep, that's very true. Okay, we've got Christina here. So, number 1, effective boundary setting requires you to be generous in your assumptions. So what does that mean? When you're setting boundaries, sometimes it's easy to think that that behavior that's upsetting you is intended to do so, right? But if you maintain that mindset, you're bound to get angry. So if somebody is doing something and it's completely bothering you, you're allowing it to rob you and steal you of your peace, if you allow yourself to believe that that person is doing that on purpose to hurt you, you're going to get angry, right? But you don't know if that person is doing it on purpose. You know, it's like we can't always read people's minds. I have my assistant, Shar. She used to work for me 3 days a week. Now I just have her come maybe once a month sporadically if I have a special project I need help with. Now, she plays music all the time and has the fans going all the time. Well, that's like the opposite of me. I don't like fans blowing on me. And I definitely do not like music when I'm trying to concentrate. So if I got annoyed every time that happened, I would just be miserable all the time. Well, she runs hot and I run cold. So there's a temperature difference. I just, maybe need to turn down the heat when she's here and put on a sweatshirt. Also, I can go work in a different room. If I thought, oh, she's just trying to annoy me, I'd be mad at her all the time. But the truth is she's got like tinnitus, or she's got this ringing in her ear. And the ring is so annoying her, it makes her not be able to concentrate. So she listens to music to get rid of that ringing sound in her ear. Do you see how that's like an example of, I could think, oh, she's just trying to annoy me. When she knows I like quiet, but she's just trying to help her mind be able to focus. So just one of those examples. So the best thing you can do, and obviously there's exceptions to every rule. You may be dealing with a sociopath or a narcissist, in which case they may be trying to hurt you. But that's not most people. 75% of people in the world, are trying to do the best they can. They really are trying to do the best they can. So let's be generous in our assumptions that we make about other people's motives. So, for example, the example I said about my mom has to stop making comments about my weight. Well, it could be that your mother wants to help you avoid getting diabetes. That runs in the family. So maybe she badgers you about your decision to have dessert. Maybe your coworker in the next cubicle has to stop playing music, that you think has to stop playing music. Maybe they feel like it livens up the office and they're not distracted by it. Nana says, that's having grace and mercy towards Shar. Thank you. So your friend that's just coming over unannounced without calling, that has been annoying you, maybe your friend thinks that spontaneity is the spice of life and that they're giving you joy by surprising you. I have a friend that does it. She does it all the time. Completely unexpected. She'll just show up. And I may have not heard from her in months, and she'll just show up. So that's my friend Sheila. You guys saw my my Mexico vlog part 2 that came out Friday, that's Sheila. The one with the long blonde braids, not my mom, but the other lady we roomed with. Yeah, she just shows up. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of cute. It's unexpected. Like, we may not be wanting company at the time, but then we stop everything and then we entertain Sheila. We maybe have an impromptu dance party. Yeah. Let's see. No, you cannot have Cheetos for breakfast. Go get a bar. Go get one of those oatmeal bars. Go get
No.
the Z bar. Go get one of those.
No.
Okay, then you'll wait 20 minutes and I'll make you some avocado toast. Okay, so maybe when you say, my spouse hasn't put their dirty socks in the hamper, maybe they're just being absent-minded instead of like being deliberately disrespectful. That's me. That's my story. My husband wants me to shut cupboard doors, and I sometimes forget. I'm not purposely trying to make him bang his head on the cupboard doors, but it happens. It happens occasionally because I'm like trying to do 20 things and I'm opening stuff and not always closing it, so it's not like on purpose, right? So, no, you're not gonna have Cheetos for breakfast. Go get.
I was thinking about that.
You were thinking about that, I know. Go get a bar. Or do you want
I hate balls.
do you want Timmy to get you some mango juice?
No.
Some apple juice?
No.
Okay. So maybe you want your brother to stop telling embarrassing stories about you. Well, you know what? Maybe your brother thinks, like, I don't know, that the stories are funny anecdotes rather than like mortifying tales. Maybe he thinks that we're just trying to relive the fun times we had in the past. Who knows? So even if these things are true, even if people aren't trying to do things on purpose that bother you, it doesn't invalidate your feelings. Just so you know, you're still allowed to set boundaries and your emotions are still valid. But if you consider if you consider, like when you're approaching someone, if you consider them to be malicious, you assume that they're malicious rather than going, well, maybe they're just misguided. Maybe they just don't know that they're doing this. You approach people differently. You know, think about that. If I think Nana has been messing with me, she's totally on purpose screwing me over. Nana texts me in the middle of the night, which she sometimes does. She wakes me up. You know, I would approach her in a much different way than if I thought, oh, you know what? She probably thinks I turn my ringer off when I go to sleep. She probably doesn't realize, you know. And by the way, Nana, you don't wake me up. I'm just calling you out for a silly example. Because I keep my ringer off. I don't let people wake me up. I keep my ringer off. So you can call me, text me, all hours. I'm just not going to answer. But anyway, but do you see the difference? If I thought, she's doing this on purpose to mess with my sleep, as opposed to, you know what, I wonder if she probably doesn't know that I keep my ringer on because I'm expecting a call from the hospital about my dad. So, you know, I should probably let her know not to text me between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And that, you know, but do you see how you would approach someone much differently if you thought they're doing it on purpose to mess with you, as opposed to they just might not know that this bothers me or whatever. So that's what we need to keep in mind. We can't always assume that someone's out to get you or they want to hurt you or they're totally trying to mess with you on purpose. Good. You're a good sport, Nana. She's got the laugh out loud emojis. So yes, you have to take into consideration your feelings and maintain your integrity and assert your opinion, but you assert, here's guys, this is it, you assert your opinion while at the same time maintaining your compassion. Maintaining your compassion for the other person, because you don't know if they know. So Okay, so number 2, that was number 1. Number 2, when you set a boundary, expect some pushback. Expect some pushback and maybe expect some anger. I remember, it might have been last year when Frank was having a problem with his coworker. We kind of talked about it. His coworker was blasting music that Frank didn't like. And I just made the suggestion to Frank, what if you guys started playing music that you both like? And then he said he did that the next week or whatever. He went back and they had a much better time because they started playing music they could agree on. Instead of him having to listen to stuff he didn't like. Oh yeah, he didn't like sad sounding music. Oh, okay. So I couldn't remember the exact details of it, but it's working out. So he put on Bob Marley. Hey, you work it out with someone. You find something you can both agree on, right? This date nights. My husband's favorite food is Mexican food. I can't stand Mexican food. I feel like there's nothing for me to eat there. I can't really get the beans because I usually cook them in lard. I don't eat animal lard. Maybe I get some rice, but that's kind of sometimes iffy because you don't know what they're cooking that in, and maybe I can get a side of black beans. I'm like, I can eat beans and rice at home. I don't need to spend all this money to have beans and rice. It's not my favorite. Well, sometimes we have to compromise. My favorite food is Asian food. And Rob can't stand Asian food. So it's kind of funny because he doesn't like my food and I don't like his food. So, we have to find places where we can, I guess that's not really a boundary issue, but it's coming to an agreement. So he has tacos with his buddies during the week because I'm not going to go get tacos with him. And he's not going to have veggies and steamed rice with me, so I make that for myself at home. And then we find, something we can both agree on. Okay, setting boundaries. Expect some pushback. Expect some anger. You guys are going to confront someone in a loving, compassionate way. But, here's an example. If you go to the same restaurant for lunch every Thursday and order a Cobb salad, you probably do this because you like that restaurant's Cobb salad. How would you feel if you showed up one week and after years of this routine, the server told you they were no longer making the Cobb salad? You might feel angry, or at the very least discombobulated. You might ask the kitchen if they can make you the salad even though it's no longer on the menu. When you're told they're not able to, you probably browse the menu to order something else and begrudgingly choose a substitute. You might wonder why no one warned you that your salad was going to be removed from the menu. When your new meal came, you might feel that it didn't live up to your expectations. You might oh no, comes the Karen. May I speak to your manager? Right? No, you're not going to do that. You're going to do it with love and compassion, not with anger. So you might consider going to a completely different restaurant in the future on Thursdays. Life changes for some people are often a grieving process. They involve a period of adjustment and a lot of emotions. Most people wouldn't grieve the loss of a salad for very long, but boundaries which involve change in a relationship dynamic often elicit feelings, and the first one is anger. So back to this. Back to the mom talking about your weight. Mom, I know you mean well, but I really need you to stop commenting on my weight. It makes me feel terrible and judged. Mom, what? Me? Oh, I'm just worried about you. Honestly, you're so sensitive and unappreciative. I carried you in my womb for 9 months, and this is how you thank me for being ungrateful and critical? Okay, some people might react that way. Now, while a person is less likely to react to a boundary of anger, when you approach them in a compassionate way, it doesn't eliminate the possibility, right? It's a normal part of boundary setting process, and it's just, I'm not telling you that because I want you to be prepared in case somebody reacts in a negative way. All right, the third thing you need to do. Okay, we have a keyboard artist behind us. We have a dance party going on. Okay. Okay. You just never know, right? You just kind of have to go with it. All right, so your number 3 is you're probably going to have to reassert your boundaries at some point in time, right? Because people they'll maybe follow what you're saying, but then they might revert back to their old ways. And they might do the exact opposite of what you're asking. Get that kid signed, stat. Yeah. Gonna show me your dance moves? Oh my gosh. Never a dull moment here. So I know when you tell someone you want things a certain way and they're not following, it's hard to remain compassionate and assertive and generous at the same time when you've asked someone to do something and they've ignored you. I know. Maybe you're thinking, well, before he didn't know that it was important, but now he does. He does know this is important to me, so he doesn't care about my feelings, or he's not even trying, or maybe I was too calm, or maybe if I yell at him, maybe he'll be more respectful then. But here are some other reasons a person may not be respecting the boundaries that you've set. Maybe there has been a miscommunication. Maybe you thought you were really clear in what you asked when you set the boundary, but the other person heard you ask for something much more narrow. Like, this is what the writer of this article is saying. I once asked someone to give me space and not contact me, but they thought I asked them not to post things on my Facebook wall. Okay? And sometimes people just forget. Old habits die hard. Maybe that conversation left an indelible imprint in your mind, but for whatever reason it didn't stick in their brain long enough to lead to behavioral change. Is this too loud? Let's go elsewhere. We'll see if he follows us. He might just be in there messing with us. Yep. He's just messing with us because he's following us. He's following us. Down in the living room. And so, see? Boundaries. What am I going to do, guys? He's testing my boundaries as we talk about boundaries. Are you coming to play for us? Okay. So, maybe they forgot. Oh, okay. Let's see if he follows us again. Hey! Hey, I'm trying to do my live stream, bro. Okay. Let's give it. Oh my gosh. So maybe they forgot for whatever reason. Or maybe, when you set your boundary, maybe people didn't realize how serious you were. And maybe this could be related to maybe you didn't want to be pushy. Maybe you didn't want to be pushy. I see you. I see you. I see you messing with me. Can we at least? There we go. I turned down the volume. Okay. Sounds good, Eli. Sounds real good. Hopefully it's not as loud now. Okay. So maybe you didn't want to be pushy, so they didn't think you were serious because you approached it in such a meek way. So, there's different tactics for gently broaching a difficult topic. You know what I find? Sometimes I find asking a lot of questions is sometimes helpful. Not interrogating them. You gotta be careful how you ask the questions, but sometimes that makes a difference. So you can find out, like, hey, I'm curious, you're always playing this music at work? I'm curious to find out, like, why you do, like, why? Does it add something to the atmosphere? Maybe they think like, we're just livening it up at work. It helps me get through the workday faster. It's not necessarily to mess with you. Okay, I turned it off. Okay. All right. So also, when you're asking somebody for something, you can't generalize. You have to be specific. Don't say, you need to be mindful to pick up after yourself. That's so general, when what you really mean to say is, honey, put your dirty socks in the hamper. Because if you just say, honey, you got to be mindful to pick up yourself, they might start, oh, you know what, I bet she's annoyed that I sometimes leave crumbs in front of the toaster when I'm done making toast. And that might not be what's bothering you at all. Oh, good. Thank you, Nana. I was wondering. She's like, even with all the distractions, I get the message. Or when you approach somebody about something, they might think it was a one-time request. I know. Some people might think you were setting a boundary to make a point, and it's been a few days or months or weeks, and maybe you stop caring. Then they go back to doing what they were doing because they think, well, maybe it wasn't that important to you. But you know what? You have to make sure that they know that it's important. So when you consider this, and this isn't a comprehensive list, but it's easier to ask for the same thing a second or a third time without feeling angry of having to do so. I know it's still frustrating sometimes when you have to ask more than once. And you might consider, maybe you consider letting it all go and not asserting the boundary again. Maybe you think, maybe it's not worth the fight. Maybe it's not, and it really depends on what it is. Some things can be ignored, right? I remember reading a book once where the mom was so annoyed that her kids would leave the socks out on the floor all the time, and she was constantly having to go in there and pick it up, and she would be yelling at the kids, and she would be angry, and they didn't seem to care that the socks were not in the hamper, but she did. It made her so upset, and she got the epiphany one day, why don't I just pick up their socks? Because it wasn't going to bother her. I mean, it was bothering her, and it wasn't bothering them. When she started picking them up, she felt better. And they also felt better because they weren't yelling at her. Now, I know that's not a perfect example every time, but sometimes that works. All right, number 4. What is the 4th thing we have to do? Did I already say number 4? I did. You have to set a clear boundary. Right? Or is that number 3? Page 9. Page 10. Page 10. Let's see. So number 4 is there has to be a difference between setting boundaries and erecting walls. Okay, if you still want to have the relationship with someone, you have to learn how to set a boundary without putting a big wall up in between you. So the boundary shouldn't separate you and that person. It should just separate the kind of behavior you'll tolerate or not tolerate. You know, you draw the line in the sand. Do not cross this line. Sometimes you have to create boundaries that are clear, but very literal boundary, right? That someone, a wall is completely closing yourself off and shutting yourself out. And there may be times you need to do that. Like if someone has grossly hurt you, threatened you, physically harmed you, that wall, there maybe need to be a wall. It may be beyond having a boundary, right? So the difference between a boundary and a wall is the same as the difference between communicating passive-aggressively and communicating assertively as well. So if the person still deserves to be in your life, okay? When you build a wall, you think you're sending a message, but you're really shutting yourself off. When you set a boundary, it sends a different message. I value our relationship too much to let my anger about this, picking your socks up off the floor. What I mean is, honey, please pick up your dirty socks and put them in the hamper. And maybe they'll start doing it. Maybe they'll start doing it twice a week. Maybe they won't do it every day, but maybe they'll start to make strides in the right direction. So number 5. Number 5 is there was a fine but important line between a boundary and an ultimatum. Who knows what an ultimatum is? So sometimes boundaries will involve escalating consequences. Like if you do it once, this is what's going to happen. If you do it twice, this is what's going to happen. I'm even trying to set boundaries with Eli's potty training. So, we now have installed a prize system, so he'll get a tiny little prize if he pees on the potty. He gets a bigger prize for pooping on the potty. But certain boundaries where I take away privileges if he, like sometimes he on purpose will just keep playing and then go on himself. And then I take his prizes away. I don't take away the ones he's earned, but the next time he goes on the potty, he doesn't get a prize. And that's really upsetting him. It's making him want to keep with going on the potty. So, back to the example of the ultimatum and the boundary. So the first time you approach your coworker like, hey, can you please not play this music? It makes me have a really hard time focusing at work. The second time you might be like, hey, coworker, remember last week when I asked you not to play music? I really appreciated that you didn't do it for a few days because it made me more productive and it was easier for me. But today you're playing it again and it's hard for me to get stuff done. Do you mind turning your music off or putting in your earbuds so only you can hear it? The third time, maybe there's a third time, you might say, hey, coworker, I've talked to you a few times about the music being distracting and I really need you to turn it off so I can focus on my work. I don't want to be a jerk, but if this isn't something you can do for me on your own, I might need to get management involved. I don't want to do that. Can you please help me out by using some headphones so we can just keep this between us? That's right, Nana. So I had read a study recently that showed that when you are angry, it actually lowers your immune system. So that's something to keep in mind too. They're finding more and more that certain diseases and certain things that go on in our body are linked to our emotions. They have found that cancer can be traced back to bitterness and unforgiveness. And there's been several stories I've heard about people who finally forgave someone they were angry at over these years and their cancer left. Some dramatic, like I have a friend, Garth, who sometimes comes and does a church service, like a healing service at my church. He knew a lady who had a big cancer, like growing big cancer tumor under her armpit. And it was revealed to her that she had unforgiveness. The preacher had told her, if you get rid of this unforgiveness, then your cancer will leave. And she finally did. When she finally made, because first she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. When she finally did, she was in the shower. I think it was the next day after this healing service. And she was showering. And the tumor literally fell off of her body and onto the floor of the tub. So, okay, maybe you're still having problems with the coworker. So you got the fourth time. We've talked about this a lot and you're still playing music. If this happens again, I'm going to have to talk to the supervisor. Fifth time, you speak to the supervisor rather than trying to reassert the boundary. So you see how there's like an escalating thing that goes on there? Okay, so that's just it. It's not everything I could teach you guys about setting boundaries, but was this helpful? Did you guys get something out of this? Does this inform you of how you might, is there some boundaries in your life that you need to set that you haven't yet, that you didn't know how to? What do you think? Frank says, I'm actually the foreman of the company, 16 years with the company. I didn't have to change the music, but I did because I can compromise. And that's a great trait to have. That really is a great trait to have, to be able to be the kind of person that's flexible, to make everybody happy, right? So, and that's important to keep good relationships at work and outside of work, to be able to, do what other people want to do and not have it affect you. So, Anana says, yes, it was helpful. Good, good, good. Okay, so I know I didn't get to every question you guys had today, but hopefully you guys will join me next week. I don't know, 2 weeks from now when I'm in Minnesota, if I'll do the live stream, just because, remember when I tried to do it at my parents' house before and their internet was so bad? You guys were telling me you couldn't hear. It was like slow motion. It was in and out. I don't know. We may have to play by ear. But maybe we'll just skip. So next week we'll be here. Next week we'll be here for sure. The week after, I'm not 100% sure. Thank you for hanging with me with the kids and the wildness and the music party, and I try to add value to your life, and I hope you guys find it worthwhile. Anyway, God bless you, and keep the faith. It'll manifest the things you want in life. All right, love you guys. Bye.